Hey, what is going on, everybody? My name is Payne and welcome back to another video. This is the first time in a while that I've actually reviewed a video while it's late at night. It is pitch black, not only because it is like 9 at night, but also because there's fog everywhere. So, yeah, awesome. But today, in this video, I just wanted to review a show that I've been waiting a very long time to review. Actually, fun fact, this was almost the first review I've ever done, but I decided that I wanted to do another one because I realized I actually worked too hard on this. So that was when I decided I was going to make a video on Love Live School Auto Project, which is very poorly shot on my phone, staring up at an angle, and clearly I have moved past all of that, but you know, that's it's just interesting looking back on it and seeing that, you know, it was almost different. That this show would have been the first review instead of Love Live School Auto Project, and if you've seen my channel in the past 24 to 48 hours, the rest was history. I don't know if it's just me in this instance, but there's something about shows that cleverly combine genres to give the viewer something more to watch, with the mindset of if someone doesn't like a show for one reason, or for one genre, they're sure as hell gonna like it for the other one. Although it is fairly common to see a show, you know, not only an anime, but, you know, a movie in the entertainment industry in general, there is only a handful of shows that people can confidently say pull this off really well. And fortunately, this was one of them. So, without any wait, here is the one, the only, Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid is a fantasy, comedy, and slice-of-life anime directed by Yasuhiro Takemoto. Remember him? I said his name in the last video. He co-directed Disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya. It was written by Yuka Yamada. It was made by Kyoto Animation. It aired in the winter of 2017 and consisted of 13 episodes. It started out as a manga that, as of the making of this video, has produced 7 volumes since 2013, and apart from the anime, a couple more manga were made, and currently those 2 are in production. One that has been in production since 2016, and the other one since late last year. Now, before I go into the story, I am obligated to say that there will be spoilers about this show and about the characters, so for anyone who wants to watch this video but not be spoiled, just like the last video, I'm going to put up a timestamp on the screen so you know, I can get to the review. Otherwise, you have been warned, and let's go. So the story chronologically begins in episode 12, when an office programmer known only as Miss Kobayashi gets drunk and misses her train stop and somehow gets lost in the mountains on the outskirts of town, where she sees a huge-ass dragon that has a sword on his back. And what does Miss Kobayashi do? Well, considering that she is still hammered, she decides to climb up the dragon with the goal of trying to pull the sword up to save the dragon. Even though the dragon told her that, you know, you can't do that there's a chance you might die if you pull the sword up from the dragon. But somehow through her drunken strength, because apparently she gets like super strength when she's drunk, and the fact that she doesn't believe in God, I don't know, religious symbolism, she's able to pull the sword out of the dragon's back, and the dragon thanks her and turns into a blonde naked woman. After bonding with each other over a couple of drinks, it is revealed by the dragon that her name is Toru, and that Miss Kobayashi invites Toru to be her maid. And so she says yes, and the night ends with Toru flying Miss Kobayashi back to her apartment. Fast forward to the next morning, but also rewind back to episode 1, where Miss Kobayashi wakes up in an obvious hangover, opens her door, and sees a giant-ass dragon right in front of her door, which later turns into Toru in that iconic maid outfit that we all remember seeing her in. So, as the title suggests, Toru becomes Miss Kobayashi's maid, and over the course of the series, more characters are introduced, but for now, let's just stick with the main characters. To start things off, we're going to talk about the former title holder of the most memed anime character. She has the title of the most memed anime character of 2017, and had the title of the most memed anime character in general before it was taken away by Hideki Kenzaki of Blend S and Satania McDowell of Gabriel Dropout, and an apparent double team against her, it's Kana Kamui. Her story in this show is that she was exiled to Earth from the Dragon Realm because she was pulling too many pranks on the other dragons. When initially meeting Miss Kobayashi, she initially assumes that she seduced Toru into staying and wanted her to return to their original world, but decided to eventually live with Kobayashi and over time gets attached to her like a mother figure with her daughter, making Kobayashi, Toru, and Kana this one happy family, which includes that Kana would be going to school. That was the main concept over that part of the show. The next person on the list is Fafnir, an old friend of Toru's who doesn't like humans, and after having trouble finding a place to stay, he eventually lives with one of Kobayashi's co-workers, an otaku named Takiya, leading him to become obsessed with anime and video games because it gives him an excuse not to be around humans. Also, fun fact, he was also nominated for Best Boy in the 2017 Crunchyroll Anime Awards, which makes completely no sense whatsoever, but you know, we all saw from a mile away it was an award that he couldn't win. Alright, next up is Quetzalcoatl, or Lucoa, or Big Blue Lady, whatever works. Anyway, she is an Aztec goddess that, just like the original mythology that bears her name, who lost her status after a scandal involving her sister. If you don't know that much about mythology, I'm going to leave you to imagine what happened there. As for how we got into this world, well, she was summoned by a kid named Shota, who was trying to be a mage. Of course, his name was Shota. It's so damn obvious. Even though he thought he summoned a succubus when he originally saw Lucoa, what actually happened was that she interrupted his summoning spell to prevent him from summoning a demon. And for the remainder of the series, she ends up living with him. Almost like a big sister, little brother situation, which doesn't sit well with me at all. And our final dragon that I am mentioning here is Elma, a dragon that was sent to bring Toru back to the dragon realm, but after finding out that she can't go back to her world, she decides to get an office job alongside Miss Kobayashi at the company she works at. And she's introduced in around episode 8, and ever since we see a number of 5-second clips, maybe more, of Elma and her discoveries surrounding food. Finally, the only other human main character that I feel like I need to mention is Riko Saikawa. When we first see Riko, she is one of Kana's classmates who at first bullies her because of how popular Kana is, but eventually becomes friends with her. And as the series goes on, and this is the most uncomfortable part, she develops a crush on Kana and is the topic of a running gag where she would get overwhelmed with bliss or whatever the hell triggers this expression every time that Kana would touch her, or the other way around, where they would accidentally touch. This is easily the most uncomfortable part of the show, and if you were to ask me, I would have to blame that freaking Maid addictive older sister. Just give her an interrogation asking what the hell she's been feeding her little sister. And the series ends when Toru is taken back to her world by her father, who is known as the Emperor of Demise, with a very small chance of returning, making life pretty hard for Miss Kobayashi without Toru. Now, Toru later comes back, but then it later turns out to be a complete fake-out, as she is taken back by her father again to the Dragon Realm, but this time Miss Kobayashi follows him there and is able to convince Toru's father to let her be herself, and Toru goes back to being Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. To new viewers, they may immediately just give up upon reading the synopsis of this series. Maids plus dragons, it doesn't make for a very promising setting, nor does it seem like a combination that required much more than 2 or 3 seconds of thought. Everything that could possibly exist has, or inevitably will, receive some sort of series with cute girls indiscriminately slapped onto it, and in many ways modern anime has trained people to be cynical. But to treat Dragon Maid as just another silly comedy with moe characters isn't exactly fair, as there are a number of things that it does quite differently compared to other shows of its nature. Instead of Miss Kobayashi being the conventional teenager, she is a working adult, whereas most anime of its nature would choose instead to play a teenager as some pseudo-adult. Instead, this show chooses to portray real adults with real issues. Miss Kobayashi is so bored with the office lady routine that she might as well just drink herself halfway to death after a long day's work. And with the show being able to portray adult characters, the sense of family between Kobayashi, Toru, and Kana feels more genuine. Kobayashi is the mother of the household, and she will snap back at her dragon friends whether they'll do something unreasonable. She is strict, yet also caring, and tries her best to understand their difficulties with getting used to the human world. Even the little things make it clear that she appreciates their company, and even if she may not always be clear and forthright about it, it shows how true of a slice of life Ms. Kobayashi's Dragon Maid really is. Kobayashi being female also helps to keep the show away from any unnecessary sexual overtones. If she were male, this show would no doubt be a harem, and it would be all the worse for it. It's hard to care about a cast when the only thing characterizing them is accidental breast fondling and walking in on and screaming at each other in the bathroom. But thankfully, this show looks past that and goes farther to a more, you could say, family-friendly level. While Toru's feelings for Kobayashi are humorously exaggerated as being romantic sometimes, that's not her actual intentions, and indeed her reactions come more from gratitude and a desire to protect her guardian, rather than anything generally romantic or sexual, even though it is mentioned a couple of times. Really, the only thing you can do is not take it seriously. The only exception is the always common beach episode, which I can't really blame this show for too much, as it was just relatively short and harmless, and every show has this. It's become a joke at this point. Dragon Maid can occasionally be funny, but it isn't an anime that is particularly defined by its laughs. It's meant to be more relaxing, and undoubtedly thanks to Kana's presence, cute and at sometimes adorable. I mean, come on, you can't deny it. I just wish they didn't have to repeat the same jokes over and over again on a couple occasions, like Saikawa and Kana. That was pretty uncomfortable. And in my personal opinion, sometimes the fact that Toru can cut off her tail and serve it to Miss Kobayashi as food, I mean, of course it was funny the first million times, but, everything's gonna get old eventually. The anime is at its strongest when it focuses on the main three, which makes the scenes with the other dragons and the other characters significantly less appealing. Let's look at Kobayashi's co-worker Takia first. His split personality is so jarring and exaggerating that he's often more obnoxious than anything. And Quetzalcoatl, or Q-Cup, is pretty much a non-character whose only defining traits are that she likes to dress in scantily clad clothing and that she has big boobs. If they were taken out altogether, I don't think anyone would find that much reason to complain. More time should instead have been spent developing on Kobayashi's cynical worldview and Toru's newfound interest in human society, as those are the show's two most compelling themes. It would be nice for Kana to also have something else to her besides simply being cute and snuggly, but then I suppose it would be difficult to develop a character who is essentially the equivalent of a 6 or 7-year-old child, because I'm sure as hell I didn't have anything else defining me at that age besides the love for sports and a fuck ton of temper tantrums. Going on to the music, the opening is one of the most jolly, alluring openings I've ever come across, both due to the upbeat music and the flawless animation. It tells its own story, one of innocent fun and excitement, while the ending is just as good and acts as a punctuation at the end of each episode. I don't always listen to the ending all the way through, but I made an exception for this show. I also enjoyed listening to the variety of tracks in the original soundtrack with its overall cheeky tones and beats. The voice acting is superb, especially considering most of the cast is relatively unknown. I mean, I don't know about you, but I think KyoAni did a pretty good job of finding some pretty hidden talent. And that also includes some of the better performances coming from Kobayashi and Toru themselves. But before we move away from the music and the sound, one thing that didn't sit well with me regarding the music wasn't, the music or the show itself, but the amount of attention it got, specifically at the 2017 Crunchyroll Anime Awards, as in addition to the Best Boy nomination to Fafnir, this show also got nominated for another award for Best Ending, as its ending song ended up winning the Crunchyroll Anime Award. But what was surprising to me was that, in my personal opinion, the opening was way better and way catchier than the ending, and the opening didn't even get a nomination. I just think that, in my opinion, it's just Crunchyroll had no idea what the hell they were missing on that. For anyone who's never seen the show before, I suggest, I'm going to put two links in the description down below with the opening and the ending, and I'm going to leave it up to you to decide which one is more catchier, because I think Crunchyroll absolutely got this wrong in nominating the ending and not the opening. I mean, I would be fine if they nominated both, but I just didn't like what the decisions they made here. KyoAni's artwork is generally excellent, but it certainly stands out in this case. While there are a few scenes that draw particular attention for their animation, the cute and humorous expressions the characters make, notably Toru and Kana, make the anime a rip for grabbing screenshots. Toru's eyes are especially detailed and draw attention to her nature as a dragon while never seeming overtly inhuman, and the bright colors and soft edges also do well to enhance the fluffy, relaxing atmosphere the anime strives for. Part of the problem I have with some of KyoAni's other titles, such as Sound Euphonium or Hibeki Euphonium, is that they just looked so bland and dreary all the time, and it's always welcome to see them return to a more traditional style. As traditional, it seems, is the very thing that KyoAni is skilled at, as we've seen this style perfected in shows like Haruhi Suzumiya, or another recent very well-known show, K-On!, and those two shows are still on the top of people's favorite anime list after all these years, so clearly, something is going right here with Dragon Maid. To label Dragon Maid as something stellar or groundbreaking, maybe giving it a bit too much credit, but there is little doubt that it is at least a return to form for a studio that has been losing its way for a while beforehand. And in my personal opinion, this is a great slice of life, although moving perfectly according to the standard of the genre, bringing nothing original nor unique to the industry, it succeeds wonderfully in developing the main themes the show reached out to us, transmitting the message and the values that were set as a primary goal for the accomplishment of what I consider quality. And with that, I'm going to give Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid a 9 out of 10, and easily one of my all-time favorite slice of life shows. Thank you guys for watching my Dragon Maid review video. If you like this video, hit the like button down below. If you want to see more anime review videos, hit the subscribe button down below. Or on the screen, if you want to see more anime review videos, there's a couple of links on the screen as well. Also more on my channel down below. And if you want to suggest a show that I would review in the near future, you can leave them down in the comments down below. And with that, my name is Payne, and we'll see you in the next video.